Welcome back. Today, we're digging into some transcripts featuring a host, Andrew. They show him in these really intense, polarized debates.
Yeah, and the big question hanging over them is, is this genuine belief driving him, or is it more of a performance? Maybe for profit, maybe defensive.
Exactly. Is it ideology or ego? That's what we're trying to unpack.
Okay, but let's start with the strength, because it's there.
Fair point.
He can definitely articulate complex stuff. You see it with the LA riots discussion, Article 2, Section 1, 2406. He's clearly engaged with the actual legal and political theories. He's done the reading.
No doubt. The knowledge base, particularly on the constitutional side, seems solid. That's the foundation.
Right.
But our focus today is really on what happens when that foundation gets stress tested, when he's challenged. We're looking less at the legal arguments themselves and more at the rhetorical moves, the psychological tactics he uses under pressure.
And that's where patterns start emerging, right? Things that point more towards performance, protecting the ego, maybe more than defending a pure idea.
Precisely. Which brings us straight to the first big issue we saw, something that really drags down his credibility. It's how he handles disagreement.
Yeah, this one jumps right out.
The immediate pivot to arguing semantics and then often aggressive filibustering seems mainly about avoiding admitting any error or conceding even a small point.
It's really noticeable. The weakness is, when someone hits him with actual facts, specific evidence that contradicts him.
What's the first move?
It's almost never engaging with the substance. It's instantly redefining terms. Well, what does defiance really mean? Or getting lost in procedural weeks.
Anything to avoid just saying, oops, I got that detail wrong.
Exactly. It comes across as this absolute need to seem correct, always. And that just shreds intellectual honesty, doesn't it? Transparency goes out the window.
It must be exhausting for listeners too, right? That feeling of watching someone twist and turn just to avoid a simple concession, it makes it seem like conceding anything is like admitting personal failure.
Which is a huge problem if you want people to see you as, a serious thinker. It suggests the ego is driving, not the pursuit of truth.
So what's the fix? How could he improve that?
Well, the suggestion is pretty straightforward, though maybe hard to implement for him. He needs a clear way to just concede, immediately and honestly.
Like a verbal flag?
Yeah, something like, okay, that point stands, I was inaccurate there, or I grant the premise of that initial detail. Actually saying it shows strength, not weakness. It tells the audience you care more about the overall truth than winning every tiny skirmish.
It builds trust.
Totally. Let's look at an example. The Embryo Garcia Supreme Court thing. He got pushed on the timeline, the fact that there was defiance for, 2 months? His defense was just focusing on the end result. Well, he returned the guy eventually. He just skipped over the initial defiance part.
Right, avoided the awkward bit.
A stronger approach. Tackle it directly. Instead of just, he returned the guy, try something like, okay, yes, the initial timeline does show defiance for 2 months. That was an error in how I presented it. However, the fact he eventually complied shows the system ultimately functioned.
Acknowledge the hit, then reframe.
Exactly. Grant the specific point about the delay. Own it.
And we saw a similar thing with the LA riots debate, right? The Section 12406 error.
Yeah. Someone pointed out he cited the wrong statute. Instead of disowning that small procedural slip?
He went off on a tangent about Article 2 executive authority for ages.
Right. Trying to make the errors seem insignificant by burying it in bigger constitutional theory.
So the better move?
Just be clean. You know what? I'll grant that Section 12406 was the wrong citation there. That's a procedural error in how they acted. My core argument about executive authority still stands, but yes, that specific statute was cited incorrectly. Boom. Done.
Surgical. Concede, correct, move back to your main point. It shows confidence.
Absolutely. You take the ammo away from your opponent before they can really use it. Own the small loss to protect the bigger argument.
Okay, moving on. The second major area we flagged gets right into this tension around his whole professional setup.
Yes, the money talk, or the lack of money talk sometimes.
His really fierce denial that he's running a grift just doesn't square with how openly, even celebratory, he talks about the money and the entertainment side of things elsewhere.
This is where the narrative gets really tangled, doesn't it?
Totally. You get these two conflicting pictures of himself. On one hand, he's the reluctant warrior, I just accidented myself into this whole thing. Says he only started his debate university because of massive request, like it was forced upon him.
Right, the humble servant of the cause.
But then, sometimes in the very same material, he switches gears completely. He's the showman. I'm a very entertaining guy, he says. People like to watch. They send me a lot of money, and I enjoy spending it.
That contradiction is loud. You can't help but notice it as a listener. And it makes you wonder, okay, what's the real driver here? Is the ideology the main thing? Or is it just the vehicle, the thing that brings in the cash and the eyeballs?
Why deny the profit motive so hard? It almost makes it seem like he's ashamed of it, or like he thinks admitting it somehow makes his beliefs less pure.
Which is weird, right? If he really believes he's fighting this vital ideological war. Well, wars cost money. Advocacy needs resources. Entertainment value helps build an audience and fund the mission.
So the suggestion here is lean into it.
Pretty much. Streamline the story. Own the reality. Successful advocacy in today's world needs capital. It often benefits from being entertaining. He should ditch that defensive posture about making money. It just makes people suspicious.
Trying to prove he's not a grifter actually makes him sound more like one sometimes.
Exactly. It's counterproductive. Instead of that weird line about his opponent not being able to prove he doesn't believe his own stuff.
Which is an impossible standard anyway.
Right. He should just own the model. Something like, look, I am all in on this ideological fight. And yeah, fighting effectively requires a war chest. The fact that people find it entertaining helps build that war chest so we can keep fighting. It connects the dots. Makes sense.
And maybe stop mentioning the old robotics mechanic job? Or how the debate university wasn't planned?
Definitely. Cut those minimizing details. They sound like apologies for success. Embrace it. Frame the income as proof the message is landing. That people value what he's doing enough to support it financially.
If you want to lead a movement, you gotta project success, not sound like you're still surprised people are listening.
Precisely. Okay, let's shift gears again to the insults.
Ah, yes. This one's hard to miss. It often feels like his go-to defense mechanism when he's cornered.
The constant use of really aggressive personal attacks and mockery looks like a deflection tactic, suggesting he feels insecure when his actual arguments start failing.
Yeah, this is where the mask, if you will, of the serious intellectual really slips, when he gets backed into a corner on facts or someone lands a solid logical blow.
The debate just tanks.
Right. It devolves fast into these really nasty personal insults, calling opponents stupid loser, idiot, dork of a fees. I mean, really cutting stuff.
And it's not just opponents. Sometimes it's third parties, even maybe perceived allies who critique him. Remember that comment about a critic's wife, that sleeping next to a hippo line?
Oof, yeah. That's not just debate banter. That's aiming to hurt.
And the function seems clear. Stop the line of argument by making it personal and unpleasant. Make the other person back off.
But does it make him look strong? I don't think so. It makes him look reactive, defensive. Like he can't handle real criticism, especially when people mock him back with things like Pickle Andrew or the olive jar stuff. He seems particularly sensitive to that.
It reads like panic, like the intellectual arguments ran out, so now it's just lashing out.
So how does he fix this? This seems like a core behavioral thing.
The suggestion is, fundamentally, he needs to separate the idea being debated from his personal sense of validation. His content would be way stronger, and frankly, he would seem much more confident if he just stuck to policy and substance. Cut out all the personal insults. All of them.
Trust the arguments to stand on their own?
Yes. Let the ideas do the fighting, so when things get heated, instead of calling someone an idiot...
He needs to what, take a breath?
Yeah. And use rhetorical restraint. Say something like, okay, I strongly disagree with your take on the law here, but let's look at how that would actually be implemented, or even, I reject the core of your argument, but I can see you feel strongly about it. Keep it about the issue.
Imposes zero-tolerance policy on himself for personal mockery.
Exactly. Because resorting to that just signals he's out of intellectual ammo. It's the mark of someone losing control of the argument, not winning it.
Okay, one final area. This one's about how he controls the conversation itself, the structure of the questioning.
Right. The Socratic method, weaponized.
His consistent use of these exhausting, non-committal questioning loops, especially with hypotheticals, feels more like a strategy to frustrate opponents into giving up than a genuine search for understanding.
Proof.
Mm-hmm.
The weakness is this pattern of circular questioning, like, okay, but if a study proved X, would you change your position? Then they answer, and he asks almost the same hypothetical again, maybe slightly tweaked. It never lands anywhere.
What's a hypothetical? He keeps asking, as if that justifies the loop.
Yeah, it shows this real need to control the conversation's direction completely, but it often just creates confusion, not clarity. You could feel the opponent's frustration building until they finally say something like, "You're answering a question with a question," which is very low-tier trolling.
And the listeners probably feel that frustration too. It's not illuminating, it's just irritating.
It feels like a tactic designed purely for submission, not for insight.
So the suggestion here is pretty fundamental to his style.
Yeah. If he's going to use rapid-fire cross-examination, he needs to make sure the questions actually lead somewhere. They should build towards a clear point relevant to the main argument, not just spin in semantic circles.
Less trap, more genuine inquiry.
Right. The audience wants to see ideas clash and understanding emerge, not just watch someone get mentally waterboarded with hypotheticals.
So, for that faith versus study example, what's a better way?
Instead of repeating the "if proven" hypothetical endlessly, ask one sharp, focused question. Something like, okay, bottom line, is your position here ultimately grounded in faith, or is it dependent on external verifiable data? Get the answer, accept it, and move on. Use it to make your point, don't just loop back.
And maybe cut the little power plays, like when someone asks him to repeat a question and he snaps back, "Did you not know the question that I asked you?"
Oh yeah, definitely cut that stuff. It's just needless escalation. It's pure dominance display, wastes time, and ramps up tension that could be spent on the actual substance.
The whole questioning pattern feels designed to assert power, maybe more than to find truth.
Exactly. If he wants to be taken seriously as a thinker, his debate style can't seem more important than the substance he claims to be defending.
Okay, let's recap the main takeaways then. The big opportunities for him to strengthen this material and his persona.
Right. First, get better at concessions. Immediate, honest admissions of small errors build trust. Ditch the semantic shields.
Second, sort out the narrative around money. Own the fact that advocacy needs resources and entertainment value. Stop the defensive, not a grift talk. It backfires.
Third, and this is crucial, zero tolerance for personal insults and mockery. Let the ideas fight, don't make it personal. Shows way more confidence.
And finally, fix the questioning. No more frustrating circular hypothetical loops. Use sharp, focused questions that actually advance the discussion and aim for clarity, not just control.
Basically, it comes down to moving beyond just performing for clicks or ego validation and leaning into more substantive, focused, and frankly, more honest debate.
Definitely. We encourage you, if you're the creator, to take these points on board, refine the approach, and feel free to send it back our way for another look.